Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the council. This is a special episode. I'm going to change my background. This is a special episode. It's going to be one of our first. Actually, I'm a mess. Hold on. Let me put this back up. This is going to be the first in our live review series. Every week, we're going to be reviewing one of these movies. Today, we're going to be reviewing Black Widow. Finally, it hit theaters. And Disney Plus, and we saw it, and it's going to be a blast. So this is going to be a spoiler discussion. If you have not seen Black Widow or you do not want spoilers, please leave and then come back afterwards. But if you have, the chat is open. Let's talk and do that. So I'm here joined by other council members. So first off, he's our resident Marvel stan and one of the OG council members. We have Yousef.
Hey, what's up, Yousef?
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. You?
I'm great. How does it feel to finally have a Marvel movie to talk about? Your purpose is
Oh,
here.
man.
Yeah.
Man, you do not believe how excited I was since day one when this was announced.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this was supposed to come out May of 2020.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And then the world.
We're already in July of 2021.
I know. Speaking of the world going to shit, next we have Sohail, who does not like fish. Hi, Sohail.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Yes, I just had fish fingers. Delicious.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Fancy. Okay, next we have Constance. Hello, Constance.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing today?
Really, really good. So for anyone who has been following us, I just moved. So my background's going to change a lot because I'm not done getting set up.
All right. And next, and last but certainly not least, this person is our newest council member. It was announced today. She's joining us for season 4. We're so excited. Destiny. Woo!
How are you guys?
Hello.
Thank you for the welcome.
Your first ever time on the council was a live review, and now you're back doing another one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I know. Okay, and this is going to be a good one. This is going to be fun. Everybody in the chat is saying hi to Joseph's fish tank. So hello to the fish in there. We're going to be talking Black Widow. Again, this is a spoiler discussion. If you don't know what Black Widow is, then I don't know how to help you. But it's the new Marvel movie, Scarlett Johansson, the trees fighting whoever. So who wants to give their first? I think, Yousef, you probably waited the longest for this. Why don't you give your first thoughts on this movie?
Right. So, can you believe, first off, can you believe it's been 2 years since we had an MCU movie? Think about it. The last one was Spider-Man Far From Home. I mean, thankfully, we've been blessed with the Disney Plus shows such as WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki, which is still going on. All great. My thoughts on Black Widow. I'm going to say that I enjoyed it. Well worth the wait. Whether you watch it on Disney Plus or in theaters. I wasn't going to miss this, so I have to see it on Disney Plus first, but I will see it in theaters again sometime this month. But yeah, overall, I thought the action was great. The performances were great. Standouts were Florence Pugh as Yelena and David Harbour as the Red Guardian. And, I think the message was powerful, very engaging action. And anyone else want to go? Sohail, Constance, Destiny?
I'll let the ladies go first, I would say.
All right.
Okay. I had a lot of fun. I think context is important because from the reviews that I've read, I watched it last night, so it's only been in my head for about 19 hours. Some people are upset because of what they thought they were getting. Other people are happy just because they're like, finally, I just need my Marvel fix, For us, I went with my family. My daughter has been waiting to see this for a very long time. So it was just so nice after a lot of painting and moving and finding new dentists and a new vet, all that, real life stuff. It was nice just to go and turn off our brains and just have fun. So we had a good time. So as a contained experience, it was a lot of fun. I do have a few things that I'm like, oh, if you want to split hairs, we can talk about that, and we will talk about that. But am I really upset? No. I needed some fun. It gave me what I needed in that moment. So I had a good time.
Cool. And Destiny, what do you think?
Well, like Constance, I just saw, I actually watched the movie on Disney Plus. I watched it last night. I really enjoyed it. And I think I was very, very, very skeptical of Black Widow just because I wanted to like it beforehand so much that I was just scared that I wouldn't. But honestly, I really had a good time watching it, especially by myself at home because I had a whole debacle trying to see it in the movie theaters. But I love the directing. It is a bit bittersweet since we know that has passed. But I love Florence Pugh, the cinematography, the directing. Honestly, again, like Constance says, there are some things that I could split hairs about and could nitpick, and we probably will later. But overall, good experience for me. I don't know where I would rank it so far in the MCU. I'm still thinking about it.
All right, awesome. And Sohail.
I mean, I went into this wanting to hate it because I, for one, don't like prequels. You know, when the story is progressing, I'd say just continue. Yep, okay, fine. Black Widow didn't get a movie. But I mean, that loomed over it when it came out, and especially when it coming out a year later, more than a year than it should have, obviously due to COVID. I mean, that just puts more negative weight behind it. I watched it at home, like Destiny, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised, and I wish I watched it in cinema because it was that good. Um, I don't really like the. It felt like a GI Joe Captain America style movie to me, but this one worked. I loved the fight sequences. I thought they were really strong. Um, I really like the intro as well, which I was telling my friends here of how the backstory and how they went into like it. It was more darker than what other Marvel pictures have given us. So I hope Marvel continues that thread at least in some of these movies coming going forward. I would give it an 8 out of 10 because I was pleasantly surprised. Um, Splitting hairs, I would say there's two things that I was genuinely concerned about, but we'll talk about that. Other than that, I think, goodness me, her name, Yelena, was just brilliant. I think she stole the show for me. I feel like it was meant that way because she, if you watch the end credit scene, she is going to be taking the baton away from Natasha in earnest. So I think that's a good move on them.
Yeah, thank you, Sir How. I watched the movie in theater. Was I the only one who saw it in a theater? Or Constance, did you see it? You saw it in a theater? Okay. Yeah, I saw it on Thursday night. Well, 5 p.m. They were early shows on Thursday. But I really liked it. Like kind of everybody here, I didn't have high expectations of the movie. I honestly thought it was gonna suck. Because of how disappointing some of the Marvel shows have been, and you know, like some of the advertising for this movie hasn't been the best, and I was worried, but I honestly think this is top tier Marvel. Like I would put it in my top 10 easily, top 5 potentially. I think the opening credits are some of the best I've ever seen. It's the first opening credits for a Marvel movie since The Incredible Hulk. I think that was incredible. I love the cinematography. I think Sohail said this. It feels very much like an indie film. Like it reminded me a lot of what I liked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and how kind of it felt like a Marvel movie, but it had the look and the style of like a really, really good like indie war film or something like that. I thought that the story was good. I liked some of the twists and the turns. I liked all the characters and how they established them. Yes, we can nitpick some things with certain characters, which we will. But I think overall, it was a really enjoyable experience, especially the end credit scene. And seeing it in a theater with kind of the score and the sound and the everything, I also really like. So I thought this movie was great. Now let's get into kind of a spoiler discussion. What do you guys want? Let's talk about Taskmaster first, because I think that's kind of the most controversial, let's say, thing that happened in the movie. So, what do you guys think of the Taskmaster reveal?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I'm actually not. I feel like I'm not the best person to talk about this since I'm not a fan of Taskmaster in general. So I wasn't disappointed that there was a change to the character, but I can see why people are disappointed with Taskmaster just from how the final fight went and throughout the movie. But I didn't mind the change to the character at all. I think it fit with the movie.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't care for like I don't read comics or anything like that. So all of these characters are introduced to me through the movies. I was a little bit disappointed, not because like throughout the movie I thought it was OT Fang Betley, I think is his name. But he was obviously there just to be a red herring, which is, Marvel needs to stop doing that because it's getting irritating. But I like that it was Ray Winstone's daughter. That made sense to me. What I didn't like is how anticlimactic it was when she took off her mask, because with all due respect to that actress, I don't know who she is. Nobody in my theater knows who she is. She's not a particularly big name. It would have worked so much better if they got someone would have been like, oh my God, this person's in a Marvel movie. Like, who would have killed in that role? Who I think nobody would have had a problem with? Mila Jovovich. Because her daughter is in this movie. She was going to be Black, or people wanted her as Black Widow. I think if you took off the helmet and it was just Mila Jovovich, she was already on set. Like, that would have blown the roof off of every theater that was showing it. But I liked the whole story with it, and that she was a Black Widow. It made sense. What does everybody else? Yousef, you're a Marvel fan. What do you think?
Right. So, for those of you who don't know, Taskmaster is a male mercenary in the comics who mimics the fighting choreography of other heroes. And in this one, they kind of did do that. I mean, the one scene, Taskmaster brings out the Black Panther claws. She has the Captain America shield. She has bow and arrows like Hawkeye, and similar fight choreography as Black Widow. So I think they got that part right. For me personally, like as far as the twist goes, it was predictable. I saw the twist coming from a mile away, especially like towards the beginning of the second act when Natasha and Yelena were discussing what happened in Budapest during a mission with Hawkeye, and she mentions Dreykov's daughter. I was like, okay, that's who it is. Because why else would Taskmaster be working with Dreykov in the Red Room? But I'm not angry with the gender change at all. I think we should have more, let's say, kick-ass female action stars, especially villains. We don't get enough great female villains. I mean, we had Hela in the MCU, and we have Lady Loki in the show Loki. So we're getting on the right track. I think Marvel Studios is getting on the right track with their female villains. And I want to go back to what you said, Yousef, about how it feels like an indie film. But you got to remember, director Kate Shortland started off as an indie filmmaker. With one of her first feature films, was a film called Lore, back in 2012. Has the same similar gritty style. So I can totally see where you're coming from. But back to Taskmaster. Yeah, like I said, predictable twist. I'm fine with the gender swap. A little bit underdeveloped, but I guess you could say she's not the main antagonist, so it's fine. At least in my opinion, it's fine.
Yeah. I think the action scenes with her were really, really cool though. Like the first one when she blows the car and she I don't know where people are saying she doesn't mirror it. She jumped exactly like Black Widow did, during that fight. So that made sense to me. I like the mask.
Yes, the bridge scene.
Yeah, like I don't like that it's in the comics. Apparently, it's a power that that makes no sense to me. I like that they have a mask that tells you the you know, science-y shit of like, you know, radius and whatever. I feel like they use that in Hobbs and Shaw as well to like determine. Idris Elba's character did that, but that was really cool. The scene in the subway or the train area when she was coming down the escalator was super dope. Like, I think she's just a really, really cool character that I want to see more of. Sohail, you're unmuted. What do you want to say?
Like Destiny, I would be good to answer this, but as someone who saw the film and is into the movies, I have to say I don't really give a crap about Taskmaster being a woman. I mean, when that reveal happened, I was like, oh, okay, it's the daughter. And I was like, tell me anything else. So, you know, continue with what was going on. I mean, like, was it supposed to be a big shock? Well, they failed at that. But, you know, I don't really know Taskmaster, so I'm sure the comic book fans, book fans would be a little bit more critical of what was given. The fight scenes were great. I mean, every fight scene was good. So I have to give props to the director and the stunts men and women for that one. Yeah, just it didn't really occur to me that Taskmaster would be this big villain. And when Yousef was talking about female villains, I would say Lady Loki would be an anti-hero, more of a villain, if that's correct. Other than that, I think Taskmaster, I mean, should be great for a show. I just don't understand if they would put her in a movie again, because I really don't have a connection to the character.
I think having her on a show would be a really good idea. Like, just before she was kind of unplugged by Natasha or whatever the hell happened with that red powder, like just her fighting different people, I think would be really cool. Constance, do you have anything else to say about Taskmaster?
Yeah, I don't follow the comics either, and this is part of the reason why. You know how you love a book series, and then when they make it into a movie, as a fan of the book, you go in there and all you do is look for how they change it. So it takes away the fun. So I'm not avoiding the comics because I'm lazy. I worry that it's going to make me see things, because from everything I have learned over the years, Kevin Feige doesn't want to do it exactly to the letter. He likes to keep a lot of the spirit of the comics, but still do his own thing. So I'm keeping that in mind when I go see Marvel movies. That way I don't have the whole, but Taskmaster is supposed to be this. But I respect those who are like, this is what I want, this is what I love, why did you take that away from me? I think that's a valid argument. So, but that didn't bother me. And I didn't think we were building up to this big reveal. I thought when they said, oh, permission to implement Taskmaster protocol or whatever they said, I thought that meant that this was just like an android. I didn't think there was a person under there. I thought it was a robot. So I didn't think we were working our way to like, and we're gonna take off the mask and oh my God, it's Steve Rogers or something crazy, you know, like. So I wasn't thinking about that at all. What bothered me, I try to go into movies blind. I try to only watch one trailer just to get a flavor of the movie, and that way I don't know anything. All I knew about this movie was it took place between Civil War and Infinity War. We follow her to see what she's been doing that time. And I knew someone named Taskmaster was going to be a villain. I thought they were going to be the villain. So because we had all these new characters, what was sad for me is I felt like we didn't get enough time, and I thought that was going to be the big bad, and it, you know, Taskmaster was going to have this problem like Zemo did with the Avengers, and was like, oh, Natasha's one of the smaller ones, I can take her out. So I thought it was going to be a more grounded, just between them kind of fight. So that's where my disappointment is. But it's because I went into the movie going, it's going to be this. It's not, you know, when you critique movies, you can't say the movie sucks because it's not what you wanted. You got to look at what they intended to do and then critique how well you think they did that. So it's not fair to say, oh, they sucked because this is what I wanted from it. It's better to go, okay, but if this is what they did, how well do you think they executed that? So based on what we got, I agree with you. I liked the scenes. I actually liked the fight choreography itself. I just was not expecting other players to be involved. I thought it would be just, you know, Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson versus, you know, I thought it'd be very concentrated, not spread out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I was thinking like they put like, because this is her only movie and the other guys had 3 movies, a trilogy, that they converged many storylines into one for some reason, and they said, "Here you go, eat away," and then that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I liked Ray Winstone's character. I thought it was a cool kind of take on, like, you know, classic kind of spy movies and stuff. What are we thinking on Ray Winstone? And I think he gave a good performance. He was better than he was in Cats, so that's a step up. What are we
Hold on, I
thinking?
want to go back before we do this.
Sure.
Going back to what you said, I too, and I think many of us thought that OT Gage Fennel, whatever his name is, was going to be Taskmaster. I think we all
Yeah.
agreed. We all thought it was going to be. So kudos to Marvel Studios for keeping that secret for
Well,
over a year.
not kudos, because poor OT Fang Bentley, he's been waiting. Like Evan Peters.
It's Fag Bentley. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, but like,
I would have to say that I did not think it was going to be him. That was too obvious because
It was-
I thought he
yeah.
would just be someone else, which he was.
but I thought he'd have a more substantial role. Like, as his role was getting
Yeah.
small, okay, well then he has to be Taskmaster. It's too obvious, but like they're not just gonna waste him. They brought him out in Comic-Con. Why would you bring him out in Comic-Con? He did nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have a comment about that.
Mhm.
Marvel does have a history. So, you know, we got the whole Mandarin thing from Iron Man 3, and we got the whole Danny Glover thing from Spider-Man Homecoming. They're all like, oh, Miles Morales, oh, you know, like I feel like they're very good at misdirect. Like they want you to think X.
Yeah.
And really they're doing Y. Now, I didn't suspect that either. I was like, oh, here's this movie's Q, right? That's all I thought he was. And he kind of was.
Right.
Like, yeah, here's your passports, here's your tech, bye. So I wasn't thinking that at all. But again, I wasn't looking for stuff. But they do have a history of doing this with other big names like Idris Elba. They really never used him very well either. So this is not uncommon.
They do need
WandaVision was the king of misdirect. Mr.
Well-
Paul Bettany saying there's a big cameo.
but that pissed a lot of people off, and I think they
I
really
didn't listen to that though.
especially now in the world of like Twitter and everything, and people theorizing the crap out of everything. They need to really like be careful and stop doing that, because
Right.
people are gonna get disappointed like they were with this Taskmaster reveal. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Yelena
Ray Winstone's here. Oh,
and credit
I
scene.
guess we're gonna skip Ray Winstone.
Oh, sure, Ray Win. I mean, no one really cares about Ray Winstone, but sure, go ahead.
I'd say the same about him than previously. So echo what.
Okay, I guess I'll start again.
Speaking of Ray Winstone, oh, sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
I was gonna say, Kyle said in the comments that he liked Winstone's character as the main villain, and like that Natasha was the one to take him down. Very cathartic. I loved when she like broke her nose, like that, because as she was getting punched, I was like, oh, I see what she's doing. And then when she like full on bashed her head into the table, that got a reaction. So I think that was really cool. And it's I like that it wasn't like a big kind of like, you know, full on fight. Like I like that it was more grounded, but it wasn't as stupid as somebody sitting on the floor and giving a speech to the entire world. Because that was dumb. But what did you guys think about that? Like the third act. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that part, the part you're talking about. Because when she says thank you for cooperation, like that's when it just hit me that what she did. That was my favorite part, honestly. Like I love Yelena, I do. She really did steal the whole movie for me, but there's just something about that little magic, bringing it back to the very first Avengers movie. I love that so much. I love that so much.
Yeah, Ray Winston was good in his role. However, he's not like well developed, say, as other previous characters, such as of course Thanos. No one's going to be Josh Brolin as Thanos, but other villains such as Tom Hiddleston as Loki, for instance, Michael Keaton as Vulture, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I would say that those are better villains. I wouldn't put Dreykov as top tier. Like I don't know about not even top 10 MCU villains, not at all. But he did the part. It makes sense for the movie. Love the scene when Natasha cannot harm him because she's controlled. She tried to shoot him, but She couldn't. She tried to stab him. She couldn't. I thought that was a really nice scene.
Yeah. I agree. I wouldn't put him as top tier. I would put Taskmaster as top tier Marvel villains. I think she's the coolest character that they've had so far. I just want to. Yutaka in the comments said that Mandarin in Iron Man 3 was messed up. I want to defend that really quickly because I think it was a cool reveal. My problem with it wasn't Destiny. Don't look at me like that. I like the whole Ben Kingsley thing. I didn't like Guy Pearce. If they had like an actual Mandarin afterwards, that would have been cool. I like that they had like a stand-in, but that's my issue with that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree. And besides, we're getting a real Mandarin in Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
So
Yeah.
problem solved.
Okay, let's talk generally just about the third act. I didn't really have a problem with it. The CGI was a little bit weak. It was weaker than some of the some of the other Marvel movies. It reminded me a lot of the last episode of Loki because that also had very weak CGI. But what did you guys think of that in general? Sohail, you're shaking your head.
Let me just say, like, I'm someone who doesn't care about CGI as much as maybe I'm very mainstream about it. I wouldn't understand, not understand, excuse me, notice the like, oh yeah, there should be tweaks there. I can understand that. And like you referenced Loki episode 5, it looked kind of weird, but it wasn't, you know, ironically, it wasn't looming like a cloud, as in that episode. And this one, I thought it was just, you know, generic. I mean, that's what CGI is to me. It's very generic, and then you get used to it. So I didn't find anything wrong with that. I think it was kind of weird that they didn't do like talking about the third act, that they didn't really play up with the emotions that, oh yeah, they're not going to see Natasha again because she's dead, you know. And it's maybe that end credit scene that maybe hit people. But yeah, at one point I forgot that she died. So I don't know if that plays well with, or it plays well with the movie or not.
Yeah, I think like we kind of subconsciously we know that she's dead, right? So that kind of helps a little bit with the emotion. Like when everybody's like, "Oh, see you later," and we're like, "Haha, no, you won't," because she's flatter than a pancake. Like I think it works. It works that way. I love the kind of the mid-credit scene, sort of, kind of, where she was in her in what movie was it? Infinity War. That getup. I like that she was wearing Yelena's vest. It makes sense, the look now that she had in that movie. And the end credit scene was super cool. Let's talk about the end credit scene. Constance, what did you think about it? Because I work in a movie theater, so I have seen this end credit scene 9 times now, and I want to shoot myself because it's so long. But it was cool the first time. So what do you think?
Oh, it was fun. And my family, it's taken them a long time to, like, they have to rewatch the Marvel films, and I finally got them trained to be excited for these things, because at first they were like, what? But now they're like, oh, we're not leaving in credit scene. So again, it's this, in a theater, it's so fun to do communally because no one gets up. Everyone's like, nope, we gotta wait. And so I think you could just feel the tension in the room, like, here we go, a phase 4 tease, woo, you know. Here's a question I had for you guys, and this ties into this. What are your guys' thoughts on, we were supposed to get this and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Where I stand, I'm glad we got Falcon first because Val meant more to me because I already saw her in that. So for me, the pandemic, this is where the pandemic was a good thing. I think it's good that they got flipped because I felt like if I had just seen this, I'd be like, oh, okay, what? But now I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I really think that changing that really elevated it. So what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I really.
Absolutely right. Oh, Destiny, you go.
Oh yeah, I really like that change because, like you said, now we know that it is Val, and there's not speculation on who's the woman with the purple hair or the purple streaks in her hair. So I actually think it actually did benefit maybe both things, both projects, to switch where the end credit scene ended up. I liked it, honestly.
Yes, Constance is absolutely right because I was gonna forget what I was gonna say. Oh right, you gotta watch Falcon and the Soldier to understand the end credit scene. In the end credit scene, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is most known for Elaine from Seinfeld, comes back and asks Yelena to join her. We don't know if it's either going to be the Thunderbolts or the other Avengers. She already recruited John Walker, aka what's his name? Captain? No, U.S. agent.
U.S.
Yeah,
agent.
U.S. agent. Yes, from Falcon and Winter Soldier. If I had not seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, if this came out first, I would be like, oh, what's a Lynn from Seinfeld doing there? So yeah, I definitely agree with your.
From what I heard, the end credit scene was switched because Falcon, or this movie was supposed to lead directly into Falcon, like the red Black Widow drug thing was going to be a thing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the thing that the Carly was after. So the end credit.
I think they changed it to the super serum.
Yeah, from what I heard, the end credit scene had General Ross and Yelena and something else. So I do think they changed it. It does work though, because everybody in my theater gasped, and you could hear people being like, "Oh, is that from a Falcon? Oh, I didn't watch that. Oh, now I gotta watch Falcon." And now I'm extremely excited for Hawkeye, which I had no interest in watching before because Jeremy Reynolds is an asshole. But I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
Right. So at the end, Hawkeye has become Yelena's next target, right?
Yeah. So what did you think?
To answer Constance's question, I felt like they had switched it because it seemed like the pandemic was making them, reshoot scenes. So I wouldn't have minded either way, but it did make sense. I would say the COVID way of how it went. Seeing her in Falcon Winter Soldier first, and then now it's like a big shock, like, oh yeah, she's tying into these movies, which I'm glad about because I'm a big fan of Julia. I know her as Selena Meyer. Although I wasn't an avid watcher of Veep, I still think her comment about the Midwest, being allergic to the Midwest, was such a Selena thing to do. And to answer Yousef's first question of what the end credit scene was like, I think it makes sense that they would tie into Hawkeye because, like Yousef, I don't really care about Jeremy Renner, or if that's his name, character name or actor's name, I forgot. And it would be obvious that Val would kind of manipulate the situation that, oh yeah, it was Clint that killed Black Widow, not Black Widow wanting to save him and then die herself. So that'll be interesting. I wonder if she's heavily in the series or not, because at the end of the day, I want Yelena to be in the movies. So all around, I'm quite happy with that. I'm glad they gave us that. If I can pose one question to those who watched it in the theater, was the movie more emotional than I found it, or is it just I don't have a heart or something like that?
Constance, do you want
to? Emotional? Do you mean like you got like teary? Like what?
Yeah, like at the graveyard scene. Yeah, where she saw the grave.
I don't think so. One thing I do want to comment on that I've seen in a little bit of criticism is people are like, oh, here comes Marvel with their cringy comedy. I do think Red Guardian's comedy was similar to Fat Thor. It's like, oh, wow, they like to take guys that are big and kind of just make them the butt of all the jokes. But I thought it worked. I didn't think the jokes were too heavy-handed. So there was a lot of laughing in my theater, but I think it was where the movie wants them to laugh, not laughing at the movie, but with the movie. So a lot of laughter in my theater.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
just to say the two things that made me laugh, and I don't really like superhero canned laughter or like those plot points, but the one where like you don't have a earpiece, and the one where like I'm injured or something, I laughed out loud at home. It was so funny, hilarious.
Yeah, I think the movie was really funny. Like, I think the jokes worked, especially Yelena. Yelena was hilarious. The whole pose thing, and then when she did it at the end, she's like disgusting. That like got a huge laugh in my theater. I forgot the other good jokes that she had. Does anyone remember some of them? Because I'm totally blanking right now.
Well, there was like she made two death jokes, like saying, "This is a cool way to die," and then when she was gonna get
Oh yeah.
lobotomized, "This is not a
Yeah.
cool way to die."
I personally like that joke. How she was talking to the Red Guardian about, how they can't have babies and doing it in extreme detail because like he didn't understand it. I thought that was good. I don't know about I saw some people making a fuss over that, but
I disagree about the fat jokes. I mean, they only made one fat joke to David Harbour's Red Guardian. There's only
yeah,
one.
I think look, I to answer Sohail's first question, it wasn't more emotional. It helped a little bit. Like hearing the screams of the girls during the opening credits in Dolby Atmos, like you got chills. Or again, the laughter. The end credit scene, I went to go see this at a different theater chain than mine. And they did a weird thing where when the credits rolled, they lowered the sound, which I've never seen before. So I could barely hear the end credit scene. Um, so that didn't really get a reaction out of people the first time. But watching it as I was cleaning, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god," or like they were sad that she was dead. But no, I thought the movie was funny. I thought the movie was emotional at parts, but not too much. I think it worked.
Yeah, I want to say that this is probably the best end credit scene since, oddly enough, Far From Home, with Mysterio announcing Peter Parker's secret identity to the world.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
really
that was the
enjoyed it.
previous film.
I
Yeah, the
have
previous one.
I have a hot take about end credit scenes. I don't like them at all. I want them to get rid of
Really?
the scenes.
Why?
They are
Do you
okay.
want him to do mid credit scene as
I
opposed
don't
to end
think
credit scene, or
if
just skip
anything,
along?
they should do a mid-credit scenes. I hate just them in general because as a viewer, it's really annoying because like when you're watching a theater, the lights are up, people are talking, people are leaving, can't really see it. Like watching it on Netflix, you have to like, go back because you know how the screen shrinks afterwards. That's irritating. As a theater worker, I only have so much time to clean, and I don't like when people are just sitting there. Like, get the hell out of there quickly, please. You know what I mean? And the end credit scenes are just getting longer and longer and longer. Like, put them earlier in the credits, And at first I was like, oh, maybe the people who worked on the crew want their names read. No, not a single person on any crew I've worked with is like, oh, I want people to read my name. Like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? So,
I would say I would relate to you because I worked in a movie chain as well, and it was at Justice League. I mean, I don't think they had an end credit, but there was one maybe for a Marvel one, and these people just sit there, and I'm just trying to clean popcorn. I'm like, could you leave? Could you go? But yeah, that's quite shocking, Yousef. I thought you would like end credit scenes. They're truly a gift, and I think people need it because when DC doesn't do it, that's just a point against them, to be honest.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Justice League did had an end credit scene, but it was pretty stupid.
they had the Deathstroke one. Destiny, I don't believe we got to
Oh,
you.
I was thinking about the Superman and Flash racing. I thought that was.
Oh, that
I
too.
completely
That was at
forgot.
the end.
Oh, that was the end credits. Oh, I forgot.
But
But what's my thoughts on the end credits scene? I mean, I guess from a logical, I get your point, but I feel like sometimes maybe at least a mid credit scene because sometimes it can reinvigorate you depending on the movie and what it is. Like I will never forget what I think it was Captain America and the Winter Soldier that teased the twins. I think that was actually one of my favorite, other than the very obvious, Far From Home, revealing Peter Parker's identity. That's crazy. But I just, as a movie with the mid-credit scene and end credit scene with the Winter Soldier, I thought it was great. But I can see what you're saying with logic. Basically, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I just want to say, Kyle brought something up that was very interesting in the chat. Yelena got her dog and she named it Fanny after Natasha's fake identity. I completely missed that. That was adorable.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
And I would say, speaking of end credit scenes in general, the one where they really pushed it and it annoyed me was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They had like what to me seemed like 5, and I was like, could you just there was a Daffy Duck one or whatever Duck was, and then the last one, the last one was about
Stan Lee.
I thought I don't. Yeah, that one I didn't like. I'm sorry. And then there was the one that I think it was Adam, the one in the pod. Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought, where's he? Where's he in the movies? Like that, that's a misdirect in itself. So I think one or two are fine, and they should be concentrated.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just don't. I just don't put it in your movie. Like it's not that difficult. You know what I mean? Um. All right. What else do we? What did you think of the opening? The flashback. What did you think of Evan Anderson? I think is her name. Destiny.
Well, I had a story to go along with it.
Okay.
Because it's actually the reason I did not see Black Widow in theaters, even though I really wanted to. It is because my local theater, it kept on stopping during this entire opening sequence about halfway through it. So it wasn't until I watched it at home, and I have a projector at home, I have a sound bar, so it was still pretty good for me. But that's when I got to experience the entire opening sequence in all, and it actually made me even more mad at my theater because I love the opening sequence so much. I love from the flashback to the escape. I don't know why. I think it was very riveting for me. I was so nervous, even though I know it's the opening of the movie. I know they, at least Natasha and Elena, survived, but I was still very nervous for them. And then when they're separated to the opening sequence of the credits, basically, I thought it was perfect, honestly.
I agree. I think
Yes, that was
the
great.
first 20 minutes or the first third of the movie, I think is perfect in my opinion. Like the beginning with Evan Anderson, the opening credits, and then the first kind of chunk with Scarlett Johansson, I think were like extremely well done. Evan Anderson is gonna play young Wendy, I guess, in the new Disney Plus one. So what did you guys think of her acting and her performance, and are you excited for that role?
She played
Is
young
she the one
Natasha,
with the
right?
blue hair?
Yes.
I think she was great, but I was just saying, like the child trafficking sequence. I think that was really, I mean, that's just, it was shocking, and they realized it so brilliantly. I'd never seen it on screen before. As for the actress, I don't really know who she is, but she played it well. Yeah.
She's Mila Jovovich and Paul W.S. Anderson's daughter. I think she did well. I've seen a lot of people, or one person really, we all know who like completely shat on this opening credits or this opening scene and didn't like the child actors. I think they both pulled it off. Even young Yelena, I think, was adorable.
Right.
Joseph, what do you think?
Right. So yeah, the opening scene was amazing. Simple as that. It did what it's supposed to do. It introduced young Natasha, young Elena, young Melina, and young Red Guardian. I keep calling him Red Guardian. I forget his real name.
I think it's Alexei. Is it Alexei?
Oh, Alexi. Yes,
The
thank
guy
you.
with
Thank
the
you.
drink in Stranger Things. That's why it's funny. Remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So it introduces them. They're a family. They have to escape. They go to Cuba, and the girls go into human trafficking, which was hard to watch. It was very unsettling, especially for Marvel Studios to tackle on this subject, which I applaud them, by the way. Yeah, it was great. And none of you are talking about the Fireflies scene in the beginning,
Oh,
because it comes
yes.
back in the end. Because, well, I noticed it when I was first watched it.
I was wondering why they referenced it again. Was it just like, oh, this has started and now it's ended?
Yeah. So bookending. I just want to correct myself. I said, I don't know what I said, but it's Ever Anderson. Ever. Ever. I think it said Evan. It's Ever Anderson.
Here's the first nitpick, but it's no big deal. I don't know why young Natasha has blue hair. I don't know. That was a weird choice for me. But
Let her have
doesn't-
blue hair,
doesn't
man.
bother me.
You know what I didn't like I didn't like that they had American accents. It was very, like, it just highlighted how kind of not good their Russian accents were, particularly for David Harbour, like after the film. You know what I mean? It felt a little bit off in the beginning. Like I understood it, but even when they were at home, I was like, why aren't you using your regular accents at home? And how did they get such thick ones, like, a couple years later? I liked when they got to Cuba and Ray Winstone and they like injected the kids. I thought that was cool. That was a good reveal. Sohail, you had your hand up.
No, I was just saying, like, maybe it was just for us to know that they were tricking us as if we were part of the neighborhood. But I know what you mean. Like, they should have spoke Russian. For a nitpick, I actually wanted them to be Black Widow's real mother and father, because just knowing that it's unknown and she doesn't know who her actual mother is, I feel like that was a letdown. I don't know if anyone else
I
can
don't
agree or
agree.
disagree.
When she was talking to Ray Winstone and he was like, yeah, I remember the name on the gravestone. It said unmarked or unknown or whatever. I was like, damn, dude, like I want to punch you, you know? And that was
Yeah, that was that was more emotional than when than actually having them be the real family, in my opinion, of course.
I agree. Constance, what did you think of the opening third of the movie?
I liked it. Most people hate exposition dumps and all this, but because these, other than Black Widow, all these other people are new to us. You need that scene so that everything that happens later has meaning, you know. So it's important to spend time with them, even if people think, "Oh, this is a throwaway. Who cares?" I'm like, no, it's important because family is a theme in this movie, even though they're a fake family. It gives that dinner scene in Act Two more weight, you know, because if you don't have that, then this scene means nothing. So I thought it was good. The most powerful moment for me, other than the actual credit roll, which we've talked about already, is when they land in Cuba and they think they're out of the clear, and they notice the girls, and Natasha's already ahead of it, and she's guarding Yelena, and she's holding the gun, like, don't touch her. You know, something about that imagery of a little girl holding the gun. That's very powerful stuff, you know, that she's already stepping into that protector role, you know. So I thought that was very moving. The thing I loved the most about the movie, and it starts with that scene, is this idea of how women are seen. You know, the whole how the big bad's all like, oh yeah, women are trash and nobody wants these, and I pick them up and I turn them into that. You know, like that's very good commentary on, you know, human trafficking, sex trafficking, making people be mules, whatever it is they're using discarded humans for, especially women, because they're such easy targets. So I like that throughout the whole movie. I think that's what the movie did really well. So it started there.
Yeah, the line when he said, you know, the world's most natural resource, the world, whatever, wasted resource, women, I was like, well, this was written or co-written or something by the lady who did WandaVision. Like, why couldn't she write like this for that show? That show
Well,
would have
actually,
been amazing.
she got a story credit. The real writer was Eric Pearson.
Yeah, well,
Yousef can find any time to shit on WandaVision, guys. Like,
it's my
anytime.
only trait. Leave me alone. Okay, let's wrap it up a little bit. Constance brought up
Destiny.
Constance brought up family. I thought I was talking to Vin Diesel for a second. So let's talk about that as our final thoughts and then wrap it up. So Destiny, why don't you go first with your final thoughts and family and all that?
Okay, my final. Okay. Well, before my final thoughts, I did want to mention something because I didn't actually answer your question about Everett Anderson. And I do agree with Constance that scene, because at first in the flashback, I thought she was just okay. But in that scene where she's holding a gun and protecting Elena, I thought was, again, super powerful. So that's why I really started to love her. So I think she's great. And I didn't even know she was going to be Wendy. So, but final thoughts on the movie overall, I really, man, I don't know where I'm going to rank this movie. I think it will probably be maybe my top 10 because I just really love the themes it explores as a movie in general, not just as a Marvel or MCU movie. I love Yelena. I love Natasha. And yes, it is bittersweet. And me personally, I never forgot that she passed away because it was always at the back of my mind. So in the last scene where she's saying goodbye to her family, her found family, it still meant a lot to me. I still felt it even though I wasn't in a movie theater. And again, I think it really does explore themes of, you know, human trafficking, how women are treated and dehumanized. Even that scene with the pig and how Florence Pugh's Yelena's is reacting to the pig being treated and realizing that that's her in that situation or in the past. So I thought that was super powerful. I really do love this movie. So that's kind of my overall final thoughts of Black Widow. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, poor pig, man. Why'd you have to do him like that? You know, And if you want pigs on your shirt, we got oh shit, we got council merch. It's disappearing, but you'll get it. I'll post a link somewhere.
I was just going to say they did our mascot wrong.
I know. Poor Boobra. Sohail, you are unmuted. Go. Final thoughts. And tell us where you would rank it too. So Destiny said like top 10. What do you think?
I don't know if you can see this, but those are my rankings right there.
We
right?
can't.
23. Well, they're kind of like in reverse. But so I'm also like Destiny. I don't know where to rank it. I rank it as a rating. I rate it as an 8 out of 10. Simply because Florence Pugh is amazing. Yeah, I think I have a new found respect for Black Widow because I thought she was quite a useless character, being with people that had powers, and Iron Man who has a suit at least. Here I found that she had a very terrible childhood, a really broken family, and I think the movie, as I said at the start, I thought I would hate it. I was going in to hate it. I would say I think the haters are wrong in this one. It's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We have a question from George just really quickly before we move on. He says, in hindsight, do you think that they should have made Natasha a super soldier? I don't think so. Does anybody think so?
Well, I don't think so now after watching the movie, but that was something that would irritate me for years that she wasn't enhanced. But after watching this film, I'm okay with it, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I think they explained it well enough in this film that she didn't need to be. And then Kyle says, Yelena's "It Was Real to Me" line really got me, and I love the scene in the room when she and David Harbour sang American Pie. Yeah, this had some really good like one-liners, that are very quotable and very powerful, I think. I'm gonna give my final thoughts really quickly just before I forget. I love the theme, like everybody was talking of like family and how the Avengers are her family and how these people are her family kind of, and how they were they both kind of helped her. Like she never had a family and now she has two, sort of thing. I love the action. I love the cinematography. I think Kate Shortland like killed it. I think the performances were all really good. David Harbour, I've never really liked, I'm going to be honest with you. So I was kind of like, ugh, he's in this, but he did a good enough job. Rachel Weisz was okay. Taskmaster was really cool, but overall, I do think it's top tier Marvel. I have my Letterboxd. I would say probably this is going to be number 5, number 6. It'll be number 5 if we don't count shows. It's going to be number 6 if we do, because Falcon is number 1, obviously. But I do think it's a very, very strong film. So watch it. And watch it in a theater if you can. If you can't, pay the $30. I don't care, but watch it in a theater. Constance, you nodded vigorously. Why don't you go next?
Just yes, please don't let movie theaters die. If you can go, please go and be safe. My final thoughts. We said we were going to talk about Florence Pugh and then we didn't. But what's there to say? We all love her. She was great. And everyone with the woman thing, everyone's commenting on, his comment of, unused resources. The comment she made about the whole, why do you pose like that? That's also good commentary. Like, yeah, why is it always up to us? Like we have to look a certain way and men don't have to do that. So I think that's part of the good commentary on what it means to be a woman and how are we viewed differently from men. So her character brings up that as well. And I thought that's the other thing that added to her character. So I like what this movie does about commenting on women, especially something like that, because I love it when movies can make fun of themselves. It's very much like Maui from Moana, like, oh, you're in a dress and you have an animal sidekick, so you're a princess. This felt like that kind of moment, like, why do you do that hero pose? Because everyone talks about the hero landing pose, right? And makes fun of it. So it's nice to see a Marvel movie make fun of it. Mm-hmm. So there's that. The only thing I didn't like about the movie, really, if it wasn't in the moment, I had to go away and think. I was like, everyone's commenting that the third act is kind of, the CGI is bad and all this. I didn't need the Red Room to be in the sky. I think they wanted this epic falling. I agree that was a little dumb. And since she's not enhanced, I'm like, do this in one of two ways. If you're going to do the Red Room in the sky, explain that she is juiced a little bit so that she can survive the fall, because early in the movie, when that other Black Widow falls and breaks her leg and then she gets terminated, that should have been her too. I'm like, okay, if she's a regular person, she needs to actually get hurt. But if she's not going to be hurt, then I'm like, okay, just say she's just been bumped up a little, just enough to survive a fall like that. So that kind of stuff bothered me. But that's only if, like, do I want to sit here and overanalyze and get all cerebral with it? Sometimes I don't want to do that. So I don't want to do that. So it doesn't bother me a lot. Where I would rank it, honestly, I'm not comfortable ranking it just yet because I've only seen it once and it hasn't been 24 hours yet. But off of one viewing, it would be upper middle for me. So like if you have a top and a bottom and there's a lot of middle, it would be in the upper middle until I see it again to kind of think about how I feel about it. Because I've had more time with the other movies. That's the other thing that's not fair. A lot of people love the first Iron Man. Well, we've had the first Iron Man more than the rest of the movies. So that's a little unfair if you love it the most. It was like, well, you've got all this extra time with it. That's not fair. So right now, it's just the upper middle for me.
Okay. Awesome. While we wait for Yousef, I don't know where he went. And I think Constance froze. Is that me or is she frozen for everybody?
Yeah, she's frozen. Well, she's frozen for me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's frozen for me too. But, Kyle just commented that I think it's a response to Constance, but then she, being Natasha, wouldn't die on Vormir. I disagree. I think that high of a fall would have made her die regardless. And I think it was a powerful planet. The reasoning to get the what's the stone called?
The
Soul Stone.
Soul Stone, yes. I think that would have made anyone weak because the purpose of that was for them to die. But that's just me.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the Black Widows already a little bit juiced? Like, isn't that part of the program? Is it more?
Yeah, they're supposed to be, but they just in the movies, they just never actually say it. I guess we can all assume. That's what would always frustrate me, but
yeah.
I guess we can just assume they're a little juiced.
Yeah. I do want to bring up the fact, because everybody, was talking about online comparing this to Wonder Woman 84 and Mulan. I think it's so disrespectful to this movie to compare it to garbage. Like, and I'm sorry if you like these movies, but Wonder Woman 1984 and Mulan, it's so disrespectful to everybody working on it. And I don't understand why we have to compare just because they're women in comic book movies or action movies. Like, comparing Black Widow to Wonder Woman 1984 and Mulan is like if I compared Schindler's List to the Angry Birds movie and Addams Family, right? Like, it's apples and oranges in terms of quality. Yeah, Constance?
One thing. There's only one thing that I want to bring up that I think they have in common. It bothers me that all these female-led modern action movies take place in the past. My complaint, why can't they take place in the here and now? Wonder Woman 1 is, to me, is one of the better ones, but it's World War I. Wonder Woman is in the 80s. Captain Marvel's in the 90s. This is, before Infinity War. I'm like, okay, this is all great, but please let the next one be, it's happening right now. That's my only comparison, because it's a complaint about that as a group.
Yeah, no, I agree.
100%.
I think that's what made Birds of Prey a little bit better for me. I don't hate Birds of Prey, but I think I think it took place in modern time. That worked. And the Marvels is going to be hopefully modern day, which I'm excited for. Yousef's still not back, and I got shit to do, so he needs to hurry.
If we can talk about that, continue the discussion. Miss the Marvels, I think that's what they're calling it, the movie.
Yeah. For
Captain America, and then Miss Marvel that's coming
Captain
up.
Marvel. You said Captain America.
What did I? Oh, sorry. Well, they're both American, so that's what I was thinking. They're both captains. The one of the captains, the female one. That should hopefully not be a prequel. That would be like a continuance of the MCU. On Miss Marvel, which will be a Disney Plus show, as we all know, do you think that would be set in the past or continuing the timeline, so to speak?
I really hope not, because I didn't even notice that a lot of the superhero female-led movies have been in the past until Constance said that. But I really hope that Ms. Marvel would not be, because honestly, I don't think that would make sense. Because no, I think it will take place in today, and then hopefully that goes straight into the Marvels.
Yeah, it better, honestly.
Because when I was that Avengers game that came out quite a while ago now, had her headline the game a wee bit, Miss Marvel, that is, Kamala Khan, and that was because there was an explosion, and that's how they all became mutants. Obviously, that can't happen in the MCU because mutants don't really exist. But I think
Yeah.
there needs to be that type of plot point for Miss Marvel to exist and have her powers. Maybe that'll be in the show. Maybe that's when they could do like a back and forth, maybe, of what her life was and then what is now. But that's just me speculating. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Joseph.
Shall we just review it for Joseph?
Sure. Marvel, yay, 10 out of 10. Fish.
10 out of
Great.
10.
Okay.
Check out
Well,
my Fish's Twitter account.
Anybody else have any comments in the chat? Any last words or anything? No? Okay. Well, that was our live review of Black Widow. Overall, I think everybody really enjoyed it. I think even if people are angry with it during the beginning, which I don't like pushing that narrative. I know a lot of people are pushing that narrative. I don't, because I've seen nothing but good things online about it, but whatever. I think with time it'll get better for people. Yeah, thank you for joining us for the live review. If you like it, boom, we have another one next week. We're gonna do Space Jam: A New Legacy. Woo, fun. And then the garbage that is Snake Eyes, and then the garbage that is Jungle Cruise, and then the Suicide Squad, and then Free Guy. So that's every Saturday.
Which are also garbage.
Yeah, every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, same place. So be sure to subscribe so you can catch them. Speaking of garbage, we have a podcast. It's called The Council. There's 3 seasons up already. The links are in the description. But we have season 4 coming August 17th. It's coming, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Wow. We also have this Wednesday, we're going to be debuting the Masked Council. It's exactly what it sounds like, the Masked Singer, but with council members. So if you want to hear us sing, boy, it's going to be fun. And George is hosting. We love George. He's great. And Michelle from American Mom, who's like famous on YouTube, is going to be one of the judges, and it's going to be a blast. So that's every Wednesday until we get back. Follow us on TikTok because we're funny on there. I don't know what the thing is, but it's in the description. Follow us on Twitter because that's where you'll get all your news at the Council Pod. Follow us on Instagram and on Facebook if you're a boomer. I'm the only one following our Facebook, so let's get that. Let's get more people on there. What else? Do we have anything else to plug?
We can ask Liam to get more of his friends on Facebook.
Yes, all of everyone. It is
just a little thing. I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and Black Widow is just 1% ahead of Captain Marvel at 88%.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's just now. I mean,
it's just.
I would say this is Black Widow is better than Captain Marvel.
Much better.
I enjoyed much better. Like I asked Destiny previously, if it's just a little better or marginally. I think it's a huge improvement, which Destiny also told me. So I would say that's unfair. I don't know why the critics are criticizing it quite harshly.
I don't know. Yeah, no, but it does have a 92% audience score, and like honestly, film is subjective. You can like and dislike something. It doesn't give no one cares. I love the Happy Time Murders, that Melissa McCarthy puppet movie, and everybody else hates it, so it's okay. Joseph loves WandaVision, and he's wrong about that. That's the only thing you can't like.
I love WandaVision too, bro.
Yeah, whatever. Yes, George, the Evan Peters merch is still available. We have Evan Peters shirts, where it's just Evan Peters laying down. It says the Evan Peters podcast. The link is in the description for that, or I'll add it. But buy that. Thank you, George. That's You're smart. But yeah, we have all that fun stuff coming. Follow us on Twitter. That's where you basically get everything if I forgot. Follow all of us on Twitter. You'll find us. That's it. Anybody else have anything to plug? No, we're good. No? Okay. Oh, they want me to do this. Anthony and Ben and Jack couldn't be here because they're busy. So they're going to be doing their own review of Black Widow on Jack's channel, I'm pretty sure. So subscribe to the Geeky Gator to hear their thoughts. But I'm pretty sure they all liked it. So cool. All right. Thank you for watching.